Hey Silver Sisters, with the holidays right around the corner, I just wanted to pop in and share a little gray hair advice. Because many of you, like me, will be traveling and spending time with extended family and friends. And while that's a wonderful part of the holiday season, I think we can all agree that sometimes when we get these big gatherings of family together, unsolicited comments start flying, and even your gray hair can turn into a controversial topic to be discussed around the dinner table. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you the most common comments, what these comments reveal about the speaker, how to respond to unwanted comments, and self-care tips. Before I dive into the most common gray hair comments, I want to highlight something important. The vast majority of women I've surveyed for my blog report receiving far more compliments on their gray hair than negative remarks. And that's been my experience too. But here's the thing, even if you get 100 comments on your gray hair and 99 of them are fantastic and only one of them is negative, that one remark can sit in the back of your head and rankle you, and it might even derail you from your decision to go gray. And you might find yourself rushing back to the dye bottle just based on that one rude remark, and we don't want that. So here are some of the typical comments you might receive when you have gray hair, and then we'll talk about how to handle them. Are you really keeping that gray? Don't you think you'd look younger if you dyed your hair? Do you want to look old? You're too young to let yourself go. You're too young to have gray hair. What's up with your hair? I like your old hair better. And my personal favorite, you're so brave to go gray. I could never do it because I care too much about how I look. And yes, somebody said that to me. Now, as annoying as these kind of comments are, and believe me, they are super annoying, they tell us a lot about the person who said them. People who comment negatively on your gray hair often have deeply rooted fears and insecurities that come out when they see you doing something that goes against the cultural norm. And yes, the cultural norm still in most countries in the world is to dye your hair once it goes gray and keep dyeing it until you reach a very advanced age. We live in a youth-obsessed culture, so people who comment that your gray hair makes you look old are most likely very insecure about their own aging process. Don't let their insecurities rub off on you if you can help it. And people who think you're too young to go gray obviously don't understand biology or genetics, because a lot of us, including me, started going fully gray in our 20s and 30s, and those are not old ages, I think we can all agree. And people who feel that not dyeing means that you don't care about your looks or that you've let yourself go obviously seem to equate hair dyeing with self-care. But they don't realize, apparently, that hair dyeing is completely optional. It is not a necessary thing to do, like washing your body with soap and brushing your teeth. If they think that hair dyeing is not optional, that's their problem, not yours. Now, the family members who flat out tell you that they don't like your new hair color or that they wish you'd go back to your old hair color, they could either just be rude jerks who want to get a rise out of you, or, let's dive into this, they might just miss the old you, the one that they raised or the one that they grew up with. That might be being too kind, but I do think there is some element of that going on here. People don't like change. They like things to stay the same, especially if they're your parent or your child. When they see your hair turning gray, it can bring up fears about their own mortality. It can make them have fears about your mortality. It can make them miss the old you, the one that they knew all those years. And I think if we're being kind, that might be some of what's going on here. It doesn't give them the right to say these things to you, but I think it can explain a little bit why they might be saying them. Now I'm curious, do you think I'm right about these people's motivations, or do you think there's something else going on here when they make these kind of unwanted remarks to us? I would love to hear your comments, so please head on down to the comment section and let me know. Thanks. No matter why people make these remarks, it helps if you're prepared to deal with them. And luckily, there are several different approaches you can take to shut down intrusive comments about your gray hair. I'm going to go through them now, but make sure that you pick whichever approach feels most natural to you, or whichever approach you feel is best to deal with the person who's making the comment. The confidence approach. Confidence is a great shield against rudeness, and so the confidence approach is my preferred method of dealing with unsolicited comments. It really disarms people. And here's the best part. You don't actually have to feel confident to act confident in the moment. Here are some examples. I don't like your gray hair. It makes you look old. Well, luckily I like it, and really that's all that matters. Oh, you let your hair go gray. Yes, isn't it wonderful? I couldn't be more thrilled. You really need to color your hair. Why would I do that? I love my natural color. These type of answers work best if you don't give the person space to try to argue with you. So immediately after giving your confident remark, just leave the conversation or change the subject. Don't let them bring up the topic again with you. The educational approach. The educational approach is a great option if you don't mind discussing your decision to go gray, but it works best if you're dealing with a person who is kind and thoughtful or open to new ideas. This approach is all about sharing your perspective in a thoughtful and informative way. For example, you might share facts about the gray hair movement, explain your reasons for going gray and why it's the right decision for you, mention celebrities or influencers who've embraced their gray hair and what you admire about their journey. Now, the educational approach can be a little tiring if you do it all the time. But when the situation feels right, it's a great way to have a meaningful conversation. And who knows, you might even inspire the person you're talking to go gray themselves. The humorous approach. The humorous approach is another great way to disarm people. It diffuses tension and it keeps things light. Here are some examples. Wow, you went gray? I could never do it. Yeah, I know. You have to be super cool to do it. Wow, you went gray? I could never do that. Yeah, you have to be really phenomenal to handle looking this good. Gray hair, do you want to look old? God, yes, it's been the dream of my lifetime to look old, and it looks like I finally succeeded. The next approach is what I call the boundary setting approach. This approach is best used on people with no social skills, people who go out of their way to try to wound you, and people who don't take a hint. My favorite boundary setting response to a really uncalled for remark is to simply say, wow, and then walk away. It works wonders. Just say, wow, and then just leave. Another way to respond is to say, why would you say that to me? And then wait and see how they respond. If they have any kind of good manners, they'll probably stumble all over themselves trying to make up for the fact that they just said something hurtful to you. However, as we know, some people not only don't have good manners and they'll just keep digging in, but some people are actually trying to get a rise out of you, or they're trying to hurt your feelings. And that's when you have to pull out the big guns and say, the topic of my hair is off limits. I like it, and that's all that matters, and I don't want to hear about this again. And keep reinforcing that. If they try to bring up your gray hair again in the future in a negative way, remind them, I told you not to talk to me about my gray hair. And then leave. Repeat this as needed. Don't keep trying with these kind of people, because if you don't stick with your boundary and you don't remind them that you're not allowed to talk about this to me, they're just going to keep doing it. You need to let them know, I'm not putting up with this. Now, when I first wrote this script, I thought I only had those approaches I've already gone over, but then I remembered the absolute best approach. And unfortunately, I can't pull it off because I'm not from the right part of the country. But the best approach is what I call the Southern approach. I wish I was from the South so I could pull this off, but I feel like you have to be a true Southern lady to get this one to work. So if you are, this is for you. The Southern approach is also known as the bless your heart approach. And if you've been around enough Southern women, you know what this means. I lived in North Carolina for 3 years, so I got to witness this in action, and it's a beautiful thing. When somebody from the South says, bless your heart, you're about to get insulted, but it's going to be done in a very sweet fashion and in the most backhanded way imaginable. It's brilliant. Here's an example from Terry, one of the members of my Facebook group. Your hair looks great, but I could never go gray. I'm just too vain. Bless your heart. From the way you look, I had no idea you were so vain. And Terry says, bonus points if you smile sweetly when you say this and you give them a sincere hand squeeze. Now, if you're not a Southern lady and you can't pull this off, here's an alternative from my friend Diane. Your hair looks great, but I could never go gray because I'm too vain. Funny, you don't look vain. Zing! Now, before I head on to the next section, which is all about self-care tips to add to your arsenal to keep you from wanting to rush back to the dye bottle after a bad remark, I'd love it if you could do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe if you have found this video at all helpful, fun, or informative. It helps my channel and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned earlier, preparing yourself to deal with rude gray hair remarks is a great way to keep yourself from running back to the dye bottle at the first opportunity, unless of course you want to. And here are some other things that will help. For one, try to keep up your confidence. The more confidence you feel and the more confident you act, you will find it much easier to get through your gray hair transition and to enjoy your fully gray hair. Join gray hair Facebook support groups like Silver Revolution. If you have a network of women from all over the world keeping you focused, giving you tips and advice and love about your gray hair and about your journey, it will really help you when you're dealing with people in the outside world who don't feel the same way. I swear it's one of the best things, and it kept me going through my gray hair journey, and I'm sure it will keep you going too. And it really helps to look at photos of other women with gray hair. And if you need inspiration for that, make sure to watch this next video I have. It's a video gallery of women before and after they've gone gray. I think it will help you stay the course. Have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you here again soon. Thanks so much.